everyone. So as we have been doing this series wherein we take around 20-25 odd questions of static GK, which caters to the demand of your CLAT and CUET 2026 or 2027 attempt. This is an all exclusive series wherein all the important questions that can be asked in your examination under the CUET or let's say CLAT static GK part, all your tensions can be solved through it. Before starting the questions, let me just brief about our comprehensive course on CUET, which is for the 26 and the 27 attempt. The course shall include top faculties, PYQ question banks, every domain that you have in CUET, or domain, like any domain that you need. Not to forget the one-on-one mentorship and a set of level up booklets which would be delivered to your home. Sixth is the Saraswati scholarship. In case you manage to get a perfect 100 percentile score in your respective subject, all your fee would be refunded by the organization. In case you are willing to enroll for the course, you can either install our app or give us a call on the number given in the description. So let us start solving these questions. The first question says, which of the following state has the largest number of seat reserves for scheduled tribe in Lok Sabha, right? So let us start, right? Article 79 of the Indian Constitution talks about the term parliament. Now the Parliament of India will comprise of the Lok Sabha, which is also called as the lower house, and the Rajya Sabha, which is also called the upper house, and the President of India, mentioned in Article 52 of the Indian Constitution. Now the maximum number of seats that have been given to Lok Sabha are 545. The maximum number of seats that have been given to Rajya Sabha are 250. और President तो अकेला ही होता है. Now the question is about Lok Sabha and which state has the maximum representation in Lok Sabha. Now listen, according to Article 82 of the Indian Constitution, it says the Parliament of India shall have the power to make a delimitation commission after every census. तो हमारे देश में हर 10 साल में सेंसस होता है. ये बोलता है कि पार्लियामेंट के पास ये पावर होगी कि वो हमारे कंट्री को लेट्स से अलग अलग कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज में डिवाइड कर दे. सो लेट्स से यूपी गेट्स some XY seats out of 545, some would go to MP, some would go to Goa, some would go to Delhi, right? So there is this distribution. The distribution is done by the delimitation commission, which is formed by the parliament under Article 82. Everything is very important here. So now this is something which we have to learn, right? ये तो याद होना चाहिए. So the answer is MP. So MP has the highest number of scheduled tribe seats reserved in Lok Sabha. What about which state has the highest number of seats in Lok Sabha? So then the answer would become B. In Lok Sabha, UP has the highest number of seats, and in the Rajya Sabha also UP has the highest number of seats, obviously because of the population, right? UP is the most populous state of India. Most populous. Density wise, Bengal is the highest. Bengal is the most populous density wise. Density मतलब पर स्क्वायर फीट आदमी ज़्यादा कहाँ है? पर स्क्वायर फीट आदमी बंगाल में ज़्यादा है, ना कि यूपी में. Total population wise, UP is the highest. That is why UP has the highest number of representation both in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So that is that. We'll move on to the next question now. You can go through it. Just remember MP, then Jharkhand has the second highest seats. ठीक है, यहाँ delimitation exercise वगैरह मैंने आपको सारी चीज़ें ऊपर समझा दिया. जितना मैंने आपको बताया उतना याद रखो. Now, which of the following bill must be passed separately by both the houses and joint sitting is allowed? See, अब ये भी ना थोड़ा हमें याद करने वाली चीज़ें हैं. This is something which we read under Constitution. But for now, you just remember that there is something called as bill. And a bill is like a draft, like a raw draft. Once people or let's say both the legislatures feel that this bill has to be made an act, it has to be enforced in the country, it has to be passed by 3 stages, right? Either it has to be passed by Lok Sabha, then by Rajya Sabha, and then by the President of India. This sequence is not very important. It can be introduced both in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, except for money bill. Money bill can be initiated only in Lok Sabha. मतलब if the bill talks about money bill, if the bill is about money bill, it shall be introduced in the Lok Sabha first and then it would go to Rajya Sabha. Talking about other bills other than money bill, like finance bill, constitutional amendment bill, or an ordinary bill, all of these 3 bills can be introduced in both these houses, right? Just remember this. Secondly, now who decides whether a bill is a money bill or not? Who decides? who decides whether a bill is money bill? So the answer for this question is the Lok Sabha Speaker. The Lok Sabha Speaker gets to decide whether a bill is a money bill or not. Example, Aadhaar. Aadhaar Act was passed in the name of money bill, because once it is passed, once the speaker says that a bill is a money bill, the Rajya Sabha has only recommendatory role. It cannot do anything else, right? So ठीक है. If you want to have certain changes in the taxation structure of a country, it is written under finance bill. The finance bill is mentioned under Article 117 of the Indian Constitution. Very important. Okay, now ordinary bill is something which will make changes to any ordinary law, right? A constitutional amendment bill, all those bills that seek to make a change in the constitution per se will come under constitutional amendment bill, and this is mentioned under Article 368 of the Indian Constitution, right? The money bill is mentioned under Article 110 of the Indian Constitution. Now the question says, which of the following bill must be passed by both the houses separately? So it has to be passed by Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha both separately, and there is no provision of joint sitting. Now the provision of joint sitting, see, the Article 108 of the Indian Constitution talks about joint sitting. So in case there is a deadlock, like if the Rajya Sabha is not passing it, or let's say the Lok Sabha is not passing it, the Constitution under Article 108 talks about a joint session. The joint session, in the joint session there would be voting, and the deadlock can be diminished away. So when there is a joint sitting happening, who presides it? The Speaker of Lok Sabha. Speaker of Lok Sabha gets to decide it. Now the answer for this question is your constitutional amendment bill. Any constitutional amendment bill has to be passed by both the houses separately, and there is no provision of joint sitting. The provision of joint sitting, all of these articles become very important for you for your upcoming exam. Chalo, now let us move on to the next question now. As per the order of precedence, the following is highest in the rank. देखो order of precedence का मतलब क्या होता है कि मान लीजिए प्रेसिडेंट की गाड़ी भी जा रही है, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट की गाड़ी भी निकलनी है उसी रूट में, तो पहले किसकी निकालेंगे? एक ही चेयर पड़ी हुई है तो पहले कौन बैठेगा, है ना? तो हमने उसके लिए एक लिस्ट बना रखी है. अब दिस क्वेश्चन इज नॉट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, जस्ट हैव अ पेरिफेरल आइडिया. ऑर्डर ऑफ प्रेसिडेंस में सबसे ऊपर आते हैं आपके प्रेसिडेंट साहब. सबसे ऊपर कौन आता है? प्रेसिडेंट. मतलब अगर एक चेयर पड़ी होगी तो द प्रेसिडेंट गेट्स टू सिट. देन कम्स योर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट, देन कम्स योर प्राइम मिनिस्टर, then it will be the governor, but the governor will get this respect only in their respective state. So let's say if I'm the governor of Uttar Pradesh, I get that sort of order of preference only in Uttar Pradesh. If I'm traveling to Madhya Pradesh, I won't get those sort of perks and allowances as to in sense of order of preference. Then you give it to the living former presidents like Ramnath Kovind ji. Then you give it to deputy prime ministers. See, the post of deputy prime minister is not mentioned in the constitution per se. It is not mentioned. Then the chief justice of India and speaker of Lok Sabha are equal when we talk about the order of precedence. Now let us move on to the question now. The question says highest किसके पास है? और ठीक है, तो अभी हमने एक चीज देखी थी, सबसे पहले होता है प्रेसिडेंट, then we have the vice president, then we have the prime minister, then we have the governor in their respective state, and then we have living ex-presidents, and then we have the speaker of Lok Sabha who is equivalent to the chief justice of India. Now let us see. Deputy prime minister तो सीन में नहीं दिख रहे, ठीक. स्पीकर ऑफ लोक सभा भी बहुत पीछे हैं. फॉर्मर प्रेसिडेंट जो है ही इज कमिंग बिफोर स्पीकर और गवर्नर ऑफ, नहीं देखो गवर्नर कहाँ पे आ गया? गवर्नर इज कमिंग ऑन 4th पोजीशन, राइट, एंड एक्स प्रेसिडेंट इज कमिंग ऑन द 5th पोजीशन. So he has an higher order of precedence when compared to ex-presidents of, yeah. Not a very simple question, but not that important also. Which of the following bill does not require prior consent of president before being introduced in the parliament? See, so there are certain bills which have to be presented before the president before them being placed in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. You have to take the permission of the president first. Only then you get this chance of moving them in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, right? Now which of the following bill does not require? So yeah, A bill that seeks to alter the boundaries of the state and names of the states. This is written under Article 3. So if you want to do bod mass समझते हो bod mass? अगर आपको किसी भी इंडिया के स्टेट का डिवीजन मल्टीप्लिकेशन एडिशन सब्ट्रैक्शन करना है, यूपी को तोड़ दो 2-4 में, एमपी को तोड़ दो, कर्नाटका को तोड़ दो, आंध्रा को 2 में तोड़ दो, महाराष्ट्र को तोड़ दो 2-3 में, ये सब करना है ना, तो ये पावर पार्लियामेंट के पास है. पार्लियामेंट के पास ये पावर कहाँ पे दी हुई है? आर्टिकल 3 में. अगर ये करना होता है तो प्रेसिडेंट का प्रायर रिकमेंडेशन चाहिए ही चाहिए. ठीक है, इसके लिए भी यू ऑल्सो नीड प्रेसिडेंट का प्रायर recommendation. For money bill also you need a president's prior recommendation. The answer is constitutional amendment bill. To introduce a constitutional amendment bill, no prior permission from the president. We'll take a separate class on types of bills, but for now let us solve these questions. Now, which of the following has been denied as heart and soul of the Indian Constitution by B.R. Ambedkar? Now, what according to you is the most integral part of the Constitution of India? For me, it is the fundamental rights. So the fundamental rights which are mentioned in part 3, of the Indian Constitution are certain rights which are fundamental for our well-being. These rights have been taken from the states and have been given to the citizens. So fundamental rights are empowering the citizens and limiting the rights of state. Because these are negative obligations on the state, right? So there are certain rights which protect us from the state. The state shall not do this, the state shall not do this, the state shall not do this. What if the state does? In case the state is violating any of my fundamental rights, I can approach the High Court or the Supreme Court. High Court under Article 226 and Supreme Court under Article 32. Now the reason why Ambedkar ji said that Article 32 is the heart and soul of the Indian Constitution, because if there is no 32 and in case my rights are getting breached by the states, in case there is no 32 and my rights are getting breached by the state, where do I go? So let's say that if the state of Uttar Pradesh or let's say the state of India is abridging or abrogating some of my fundamental rights, right? Some of my rights are getting violated. Where do I go now? So the Constitution specifically says either you can go to the Supreme Court or you can go to the High Court to make sure that your rights are intact. That is why he said that Article 32, since Article 32 is protecting all of our fundamental rights, because if they are getting breached, either directly go to the Supreme Court. The reason why Article 32 is called as the heart and soul of the Indian Constitution. Everyone is understanding, I guess. Chalo. Now local self-government can be best explained as an exercise in. So a lot of questions come from local self-government. What do we mean by local self-government? Echo. Under Article 40 of the Indian Constitution, there shall be village panchayats. So Article 40 lies under DPSP, and DPSPs are not enforceable in the court of law. Not enforceable in the court of. So you could not force the state to establish village panchayats. But as and when a government thought that we are ready for a 3-tier system, like one as the central government, then the state government, and then we'll have some local self-governments. When we have it in the village area, it is called as Panchayati Raj Institute, and when we have it for urban areas, it is called as municipal corporation or municipality. For one to contest a central level election, one has to be minimum 25 years old. Government has to be 25 years old. But for one to contest a PRI or a municipality election, the minimum age is only 21. Now the question, who is called as the father of local self-government in India? So your answer is Lord Ripon. Lord Ripon, the year 1881, first conceptualized this idea, and India's first 3-tier level government was formed in Madras back in 1881. ये सारे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. अच्छा, इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया में सबसे पहले पंचायती राज सिस्टम कहाँ आया? सो माय आंसर वुड बी नागौर in the year 1959, and the day was 2nd October. Why 2nd October? Because Gandhi ji was in strong support of local self-government. Now what is the purpose of local self-government? And one more thing, these Panchayati Raj Institute were brought in by the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, and municipality was brought in by the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. The 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act added the 11th schedule And the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act added the 12th schedule. I hope you are understanding. So the question is, local self-government can be best explained as an exercise in democratic decentralization. Democracy comes from the word demos plus cracy. Cracy means power and demos means people. So when the power is in the hands of people, it is called as democracy. Now your democracy is getting decentralized, right? It is not just with the central government, not just with the state government. Your democratic structures are getting deep rooted into the village and local levels also. Could be a tough question for you, but if you are conceptually strong, this was something which should have been done. A constitutional government. Now, what does a constitution does basically? You tell me. So your constitution basically lays down the powers of legislature, executive and judiciary. Since it is laying down the powers, and this constitution has been given to us by we the people. So the people of India have given to themselves this constitution, and this constitution demarks the powers of legislature, executive and judiciary. And in case there has to be some check and balance, the constitution has the provisions for the same. So constitution in a way is trying to limit the government. These are the three organs of the government. Constitution in a way is trying to regulate all of these. So it is trying to limit them, right? इसके बाहर जाओगे, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के बाहर कुछ भी काम करोगे तो मैं उसको अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बोल दूंगा. कौन बोल देगा? सुप्रीम कोर्ट बोल देगा, नहीं तो हाई कोर्ट बोल देगा. समझ में आ रहा है? तो a constitutional government by definition is a limited government. Is a limited government. पंचायती राज was first introduced in, अभी मैंने आपको बताया, it was first introduced in Nagaur is in Rajasthan on 2nd of October. The reason being Gandhiji was a staunch supporter of local self-governments. The reason why we started our first Panchayati Raj specifically on 2nd of October. Chalo. In India, the first municipal corporation was set up in Madras. Just now I told you this, right? Under Lord Ripon, 1881. What is the minimum age for becoming a member of Panchayat? अभी मैंने आपको बताया 21. The idea of welfare state. Welfare मतलब कल्याणकारी. कल्याणकारी मतलब अमीर से लेके गरीब को दे देना. अमीर से लेके गरीब को दे देना का जो प्रोविजन है वो अगर आप नोटिस करोगे तो आर्टिकल 39B और 39C में लिखा हुआ है. मैंने प्रीवियस question says the idea of welfare state is comprised in DPSP. DPSPs are mentioned in part 4 of the Constitution. They have been taken from in Government of India Act 1935. Secondly, now these people took it from Ireland. Now these rights are non-justiciable. You cannot approach the court for it. And certain few important DPSPs are your Article 40, 44, 50, 51, including 47 and 48. Write down in the comment section if you have been following this properly. Please mention these articles and what does it say. Give some brief one-liners about it. Okay. Now, which of the following reflects the mind of the constitutional makers? So the mind of the constitution makers can be seen in the preamble. Preamble is the part of the constitution. One thing which has to be very clear. Preamble is a part of the Constitution of India. Preamble was earlier called by the name Objective Resolution of Nehru. So your Objective Resolution of Nehru ultimately become the Preamble of India. The concept of Preamble has been taken from the United States. So Preamble is like the summary of the Indian Constitution. It is the key to the mind of constitutional makers. Key to the mind of constitution makers. And the Preamble has been given to us by we the people. We the people of India give to ourselves this preamble, right? So yeah, which of the following reflects the mind of the constitution makers? The answer is preamble. Everything that I write and tell you is very much important for your examination. Yeah, so we can read this preamble. We can read this here. Now any question that can be asked from preamble, I'll try to give you here. So who gave us the preamble? We the people. Given by people. Given by people to themselves. Now India has been constituted into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. When we got when our constitution was made on 26th Jan 1950, the term socialist and secular were not there. The term socialist and secular were not there. Both of these terms were added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. The reason why it is also called as mini constitution. The reason why it is also called as mini constitution. What do we mean by republic? Republic is any such government where the head of state is elected. India में head of state कौन होता है? President. President elected होते हैं? Yes. Can I become the president of India? Yes. Can you become the president of India? Yes. Hence India is a republic. Britain is not. Britain is a monarchy. No. Justice. We will serve our people justice in three forms: social, economical, and political. So justice is of three forms: social, economical, and political. Social and economic justice can be seen by the concept of political justice is reflected in the fundamental rights. Now the liberties of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. So 5 types of liberty are there. How many types? 5. The concept of liberty has been taken from France. The concept of justice has been taken from USSR, which is now Russia. है ना? Equality of status and opportunity, and to promote amongst them all fraternity. Fraternity means brotherhood. Fraternity means brotherhood. Assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity. Now mark, see, very important. This integrity thing was also not in the original preamble. This integrity thing was also added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of 1946, enact and give to ourselves. देखो, so the date mentioned in the preamble is 26th November 1949 and not 26th January, because our constitution was already ready on 26th November. That is why 26th of November 1949 is celebrated as law or constitutional day in India. We implemented, or let's say we enforced our constitution on 26th Jan 1950, but the constitution was ready by 26th November itself. So some of the provisions were enforced then only. So like any question that can be framed from preamble can be answered from this slide. So I would request you to please take a screenshot if you haven't, or mark all those points that I have marked into it. Right? Chalo, now let us move. In India, separation of judiciary from the executive is enjoyed by Article 50. I have told you in previous videos. Article 50 will come under DPSP. Article 50 talks about there should be clear-cut distinction between executive and judiciary. Which of the following factors constitute the best safeguard of liberty in a liberal democracy? तो किसी भी डेमोक्रेसी में लिबर्टी कैसे इंटैक्ट रहेगी? अगर मैं सेंट्रलाइज कर दूंगा पावर्स, तब तो बिल्कुल नहीं, तब तो ये ताकतवर हो जाएगा स्टेट. लिबर्टी मतलब आज़ादी. इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट से कुछ खास फर्क नहीं पड़ना. और कमिटेड जुडिशरी, देखो दो में कंफ्यूज हो सकते हो. अगर तुम कमिटेड जुडिशरी मान के चलो कि कमिटेड जुडिशरी का मतलब है दे आर कमिटेड टू द पीपल, तब तो आंसर ये होना चाहिए था. बट जब ये क्वेश्चन आया, इसकी इंटरप्रिटेशन की गई, तो माना गया कमिटेड जुडिशरी का मतलब होता है जुडिशरी दैट इज कमिटेड टू द गवर्नमेंट. तो ये तो हमारे लिए नुकसान वाली चीज़ है. जुडिशरी गवर्नमेंट की तरफ चली गई. जुडिशरी तो एम्पायर है, जुडिशरी तो रेफरी है, तो आंसर विल बी सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर. सो इफ देयर इज क्लियर कट सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर, judiciary is not getting committed to the state per se, then it is something which can be thought of, because everyone's gonna have check and balance on everyone else. Which of the following have the right to vote in the elections of Rajya Sabha? तो भाई देखो, Rajya Sabha is also called as a council of state. Rajya Sabha is also called as a council of state. तो Rajya Sabha किसका रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है? स्टेट्स का. तो स्टेट्स के ही रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स आएंगे. अब स्टेट्स से रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स कौन भेजता है? जो उस स्टेट की विधानसभा के एमएलएज होते हैं. देखो, लोकसभा में डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन होता है, में मोदी जी कंटेस्ट है ना, 24 में होगा, 29 में होगा, देयर इज डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन. बट इन राज्यसभा देयर इज नॉट डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन, इट इज इनडायरेक्ट इलेक्शन. एंड द मेंबर्स हु इलेक्ट द मेंबर्स ऑफ राज्यसभा आर नथिंग बट एमएलएज ऑफ स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली, नॉट स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल. सो योर दिस थिंग बिकम्स द आंसर. सो ऑल द इलेक्टेड मेंबर्स ऑफ स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबलीज और द लोअर हाउस ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट. सो दैट इज दैट, आई गेस. Yeah, so there is one more question. According to the constitution, which of the following are fundamental for the governance of the country? Many a times I have told you DPSPs. Article 37 of the Indian Constitution says DPSPs are fundamental for the governance of the country. So that is that. I'll see you on Friday now. Now, in case you are looking for a full-fledged course to prepare for your upcoming CUET, CLAT or IPMAT entrance examination, and you think the quality is top-notch, and you would want to avail all of these benefits, you can subscribe the YouTube channel. Of course, install the app and go and buy the course if you want to. Thank you so much for now. I'll see you on Friday now. Bye bye.